All right, I hope everyone had a good Memorial Day weekend. We had some pretty good weather here in Minnesota, except for today it's raining once again. It's unbelievable the spring we've had here in Minnesota. I can't remember any time in the last 15 to 20 years that we've actually had a year that it's been above flood stage here on the Minnesota River ever since the ice went out, and it's getting pretty frustrating. So I thought I'd do a video here of a new rod that I got that I just wanted to tell everyone about. It's fairly new. It came out probably summer to fall last year, and it's fairly new to the market. It's just showing up at various retail outlets. So this one is from Okuma, and it's called the Record Chaser. Now this is a Kirkland Signature Series. He's a alligator gar guide down in Texas, and he catches, tons of, 100, 200 pound fish. I think I saw one, I was just watching some of his videos, and he caught one 266 pounds here recently. So he's definitely been putting these rods to the test, and I can only imagine abusing them, catching fish that big. I don't catch fish that big, catfish up to 60 pounds at the biggest, and sturgeon, up to 100 and, 120 pounds at the biggest. Mostly 20 to 50 pound fish. 10 to 15 years back, it was a struggle to try to find a good catfish rod. Places like Catfish Connection were popular. Some of the bigger outlets, you could sift through them and find some good rods. Mostly the rods you were finding were at specialty shops and ordering online. I mean, you just walking into Bass Pro or Cabela's, you just didn't find a good quality catfish rod. And now there's a lot of them. So that's really great to see these big companies like Okuma, getting into catfishing and putting out quality rods. I would rather have more than not enough. I saw this, I thought it looked cool. I thought I'd give it a try and see how I liked it. The first thing that comes up, a big question everyone asks, is spinning versus, casting. I've used both. I don't see a preference between one or the other. As a guide, I decided to go with a spinning combo. Reason being, spinning reels allow you to switch the handles back and forth. So I could have, different clients throughout the boat. Half of them want to do left side, half of them want to do right side, so I can kind of split that. Or they all want to do left side. It's really convenient to just be able to switch that over based on what the client's needs are. And another good thing is not backlashing when you're casting. It makes it much easier for novices to just flip the bail and cast it out. Now when you're casting big weights with these big catfishing reels, you don't end up with a lot of backlash like you would casting light lures such as topwater baits or something for bass fishing. But it does happen, and the spinning just eliminates that for backlash. So that's another reason I go for spinning. Another one that's kind of overlooked is, here on the Minnesota River and Mississippi River, we're getting lots of snags. We're hanging up on trees and logs and rocks or whatever. When you hang up with a bait caster reel, you basically have to take a Snag Buster, we call them. It's just basically a wooden dowel. Wrap it around the wooden dowel. Break it free. With a spinning reel, if you get hung up, basically all you have to do is, grab the spool and pull, and that line will break. If you do that with a bait casting reel, that line wants to slip a little bit, and it also wants to tighten up. It basically cinches itself in the spool. So then when you go to cast the next time, the line peels out and it gets caught where it's dug down into the spool, and you'll either toss your bait off, or sometimes in extreme case, you'll actually break your line if you cast too hard and it's buried down into the spool. So like I said, that's another overlooked benefit of a spinning reel. The downsides of the spinning reel, there's not a whole lot. The one thing I found is we use these bait feeder they're a lot quieter versus the actual audible alarm of a bait caster clicker is much louder. Not a huge deal, but that is the one downside I've found with the spinning versus the bait casting. The bait casting reels also seem to have a little more torque for reeling in. I don't think that's a big deal either. You should really be using your rod to fight the fish and the reel just to pick up slack. So not a big deal. So about this rod, I'll just start at the butt section here. Kind of a nice solid butt. It's got the camo EVA foam grip. It looks like it's some sort of hybrid cork there. And nothing really special about it. It's a two-piece design. It splits here. So if you do split it, there's no eyes on the bottom section. All the eyes are on the top section. But it feels like a good solid connection. Make sure if you get one of these to push it down really tight. I noticed, I engaged it, but then I was able to engage it a lot more. So make sure you push that in nice and tight. The eyes are, there's inserts in the eyes versus the stainless, the full stainless. I think the inserts are the way to go. My preference, I like the inserts. It seems to keep things a little more quieter. You're not cutting grooves in there or whatever. You come down to the tip and there's a couple orange highlights. Colors, white rods. I've always been a fan of white rods. We fish a lot of low light conditions and my preference is white. I kind of like the green contrast, the green threads. Makes for a nice looking rod. Not a whole lot to say about it other than that. It's got a graphite reel seat, but I haven't had any issues with the reel seat breaking, these graphite reel seats, so I think they're tougher than people think. So what I want to do now is I'm going to show you the different actions between some of the rods I have. I have a Okuma Battle Cat and also a Rippin' Lips Super Cat. I've been using these Rippin' Lips the last couple of years as my guide rods, and they've worked great. I just wanted to show you kind of the difference between the actions. The Rippin' Lips, I believe, it's mostly fiberglass, and it's a slower action, so it's got more of a parabolic curve versus this Record Chaser, which is 24-ton. It's a carbon blank. And I've tried to do a little research to see if it's actually a hybrid or if it's pure carbon, but I haven't been able to find that. So from what I can tell, it's all carbon. So whether that's a good thing or not, I guess that'll remain to be seen. So these action tests, I'm going to start off with this Rippin' Lips. Like I said, this is a Rippin' Lips Super Cat, 7'6", medium heavy. I'm just going to hook it up to this 18-pound anchor and kind of show you the action. So you'll see this rod here will bend throughout the blank a lot more than the other two. You can see the bend. The bend's going almost all the way through the whole rod. And I can, if I tighten my drag up here, I can pick up that anchor. It feels like a lot of the lifting power is down here, right near the foregrip. And like I said, it bends throughout the whole blank. This rod here is, I think the retail is 45 bucks, something like that. Great value rod. I've really enjoyed using these. I kind of like the red blank. I've used these a lot. I've caught a lot of big fish. It's got the split grip design. Only problem with this is I like how it looks, but a lot of times it's sitting in the rod holder, and that's the leverage point right there where it's sitting in the rod holder. So you may tend to ding up the rod there because the foam grip isn't even in the holder. So yeah, I've been using those quite a bit. Next we'll go to the Okuma Battle Cat. I have this 7.6 medium heavy. This is a casting model. I believe the blank is the same as the spinning version as well. This has also been a great rod. Caught a lot of big fish on this rod too. The one thing, I like the all white blank. The one thing I kind of been a bummer about this is the threads, the wrapping. The sun has really faded that, so it's almost turned to a cream color. almost yellowish, which it looked a lot better when it was brand new. When it was white, this rod looked a lot better. So at any rate, I'll show you the action of this one. The bend starts a lot more towards the tip. You can see the most of the lifting powers are starting right here when I lift that. And again, I can lift up that anchor. I can feel most of the power is in here versus down here with that rip and lip. Which is nice for, it's nice for this fast action is nice when you're using live baits, because that tip is pretty soft. You'll see that live bait wiggling all night long. Lastly, we'll try this record chaser I was telling you about. It's sort of the cross between the two. It's got the faster tip, but the power comes down to about the first eye right here. You can feel it, not quite down here to the foregrip, and comes down a little further than the Battle Cat. And again, lift that anchor. Be honest with you, I don't know. Maybe I'm biased just because it's a new rod. To me, it feels like it's easier to lift that anchor with this rod. Like I said, I don't know. It's just my personal feeling here, but it comes up pretty easy. So yeah, that's the record chaser. I think that's going to be a great rod. I've had it out a couple times now, and I tell you what, I may change all my guide rods to these after using it. I like the weight of it. It's lighter. I weighed all three of these, and between the three, it's actually the lightest of the three, which is nice. If you ever need to hold your rod, less weight helps a lot. The one thing I'm a little disappointed about, and I haven't seen a rod in a while that doesn't have one, but this one does not have a hook keeper. No hook keeper. So, not sure what the thinking was behind that, if there was just an oversight or just added a little bit too much to the cost, but I like having a hook keeper. You can get third-party hook keepers to put on here for a few bucks, little silicone rings or whatever, or you can just hook your hook on the guide here. But I've always liked the hook keeper here, so I was kind of bummed when I saw there wasn't a hook keeper. But overall, I think this is going to be a great rod, great value. This one retails, I think the retail is $70 to $80 for this rod. I have found it for 50 to 60 places, so be sure to check around. Down in the description area, I will put a link where you can find this on Amazon for, I believe, 60 bucks, 60, 70 bucks. Seems like a great value. A little more money than the Rip and Lips, and a little less money than the Battle Cat. Right now, this only comes in a spinning version. 7.6, 8 foot. I believe there's a 10-foot model as well, and maybe even 11-foot. But this here's a 7.6. I prefer a 7.6 for fishing in the boat. Shorter rod seems to be nice just for transport and fighting the fish near around the boat. For shore fishing, you probably want a longer rod. But if anyone's wondering about this reel, this is actually the Okuma Coronado. This is the CDX 65. This thing's a beast. This has been a great reel. They kind of redesigned this after they first released it. Okuma has a lot of offerings in the spinning bait feeder options. They have the Avenger, the Trio. I believe there might be a couple others as well. I checked out the specs on this one. It seemed like it was built well. I've heard some good reviews on it, so I wanted to try it, and I have not been disappointed at all. Great reel. I think that one is also 80 to 90 bucks, something like that. I'll also link this one in the description too, where you can find that. What we have to be careful about is the sizing. This, like I said, this is the CDX 65. If you compare it to the Avenger or the Trio, it's about 80 size. So be careful with that. If you buy the 80, or they may even have a 90 in this size. If you buy that, you're going to get it and be like, wow, holy crap, that's a big reel. This CDX 65 is, for most of your fishing, this is probably what you're going to need. I see that Kirkland had this reel, but it looked like he might have had the bigger version, which makes sense. He's catching fish up to 250 pounds, you know, but this 65 will be perfect for anything I need it for. And that gets much heavier when you start getting bigger in size, so be careful when you order that. But yeah, great combo for catfish, sturgeon, gar, the real game fish. But yeah, just wanted to show everyone that new rod, that combo. Check it out. I think you're really going to like it. I'll just put up a quick video here. We were able to get out and caught a couple fish, so you can at least see it in action. If you really want to see some bigger fish being caught, go and check out Kurt Kirkland on Facebook, either his profile or I believe it's
cut bait.
Oh, big channel.
Nice channel. That's what he's using right here, some cut up sucker. It's delicious.
Oh, that's a nice channel.
He's talking to you. Let's take a look at this rod. This is nice.
Chasing records.
Okuma record chaser. Says it right there. It's got to be good.
Got to be good.
River's flooded now. I don't even know when the next time we're going to get out. It's been above flood stage since the ice went out, and it's really disappointing. Gonna have to grab the golf clubs, I guess, or something like that. Take up a new sport. It's kind of tough. I'm glad I don't depend upon the guide service for full-time job, because it'd be a real pinch right now, because you just, even if you do get on the river, the fish have been hard to find. So, but once that river comes back down, go ahead and give me a call. Three Rivers Fishing Adventures. We'll be doing catfish all summer and sturgeon in the fall. Or I'll just be out fishing for fun, either way. Anyways, thanks for watching. Check out the Okuma Record Chaser rod. I think you'll like it.